Okay. Um, Welcome, Aurora.
Thank you for having me, Gary. It's great to reconnect with you.
Yes. I am using my iPhone as the hotspot. So, and we're in a coffee shop, which is a little bit loud. So, apologies for the if the noise is not perfect to anyone watching.
We shall persevere because I think we have like a really important topic to talk about.
Yes. So, and I also have another. I have my regular group show coming up after this, so we're probably going to be in the coffee shop, assuming that they love our being here. Hopefully, that continues.
Be sure to drink a lot of coffee.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we bought one already, so I think we are patrons, so it should be fine, right? So how are you doing, Aurora?
I'm doing okay today. I'm doing fabulously. I know earlier in the week I recorded a video and I was like emotionally perturbed. And people who know me like know that I'm not usually like that. So
That's
like that
exactly
was
what we said. We were like, Aurora seems slightly upset. Something is really wrong.
totally, guys. That's it. It was out of character, and also, I don't want anyone to think that I'm a bad dog mom because I recorded that video while I was walking my dog, and I was very impatient with her. And I'm not that way. So if people watch, know that that was a moment very out of character for me. Like you yell at your kids in the supermarket, and that's not really you. But yeah, I was very concerned at that time. And right now, like I just came in while you were setting up in the coffee shop. I went outside, did my full sun gazing, filled up with light, and did my flying rainbow lasagna dance, which is my daily practice. And I feel very happy and positive. Like I feel very energized and very good. And part of what I put into the intention of my dance is the complete like destruction, decommissioning of any of these mind control circuitries that might be in my body and in anybody's body. So that's what's really like whatever. My goodness, like we've known each other for a long time. I've been talking about this since 2014. Like when I first moved from upstate New York to Northern California, I thought that I was moving to the beautiful redwoods with clean air and beautiful trees, and the opposite was true. We got inundated, sprayed with chemtrails or visible aerosols every day, and I was really noticing it affecting my health and affecting my mentality even back then. One brief anecdote that I used to tell people is I went to visit with a friend in a nearby town, and and that was when like the inundations were really bad, and I used to wear like a VOC respirator in my house because
Oh
my
wow.
head felt so foggy. Yeah, and that's what you wear if you're working with like spray paint or airbrush or something like that. So I have one because I'm an artist. So I would wear that in my house, and I'm thinking like I hope my housemate doesn't walk in and think that I'm crazy. And literally, if there were not social consensus, like many people co-experiencing this, I would be at risk for someone to
Hmm.
simply say, "Oh, like she's just crazy, lock her up." But no, because there are many, many people co-experiencing. I think we can all lay that demon to rest. You ain't
Yeah.
crazy, ain't fantasizing, you ain't making it up. And I went to lunch with my
Yes.
friend. None
No,
of us,
we're
when I
we're
took up
good.
my gas mask,
Sorry, we had to deal with something. Yeah. No, it's. I think there's more than enough uh, concurrent reports. I guess you could say that it's not a thing anymore. The whole like mislabeling people as psychotic, it's not. That is not correct in any way, shape, or form.
thank you. Because we really are in unprecedented times.
Yeah.
Just making sure the connection is okay because it's a little spotty that you can hear me okay.
I can
We're
hear
in
you fine. Yeah.
good. Yeah, if you hear voices in your mind that are not necessarily you, it's not because you're insane or you just have a chemical imbalance or some genetic heritage suddenly rearing its ugly head. It is because what we've been breathing in have been the precursors to an entire synthetic neurology. That's the best way I can describe it. Other people have other words for it. That's been
Hmm.
implanted within us. So, my story is breathing in more and more of these particles over the past 6 or 7 years or so. No one is immune. I shouldn't say that. All of us are doused. We're all living here in the fish tank. Everybody gets sprayed down every day. Some people are able to biologically detox easier, and part of this is genetic. And I can talk all about MTHFR variations in genetic code. Some people basically, due to their genetic heritage, are less able to detoxify from aluminum and some other bodily contaminants than other people are. So some people were early warning system because of their genes. They were like, hey, this spray is making me sick and I'm feeling bad and I'm getting autoimmune diseases and all these different things. And some people were like, go jump out a window, you're crazy, nothing's going on. And then it's going on more and more and more. And now it is, as Gary said, basically an accepted fact, even though you won't find it written in an encyclopedia at your local library. There is definitely a difference between what is being sprayed in the air by, we'll call them aircraft, even though I'm of the opinion that they are not regular fixed wing aircraft like what we have that flies out of airports on Earth. I'm of the opinion that they are actually exotic technology, a form of technology that is not native to Earth, or that is being retro-engineered here, a form of magnetic propulsion system that is totally different than fixed-wing aircraft, and that these are also cloaked, so that some of them don't even look like the regular plane with wings that we know, but that there is an image that is cloaking them. And here's what you can also consider as we talk more and more in this conversation. And apologies if I rant and go.
No, you're fine. It's been a long time, so it's feel free to release.
Good. I've got a lot pent up inside that needs to come out.
Yeah.
But the cloaking mechanism, you can imagine it as something more than just like a picture in the sky. It's not like, oh, I can't see that thing because there's a picture in the sky in front of it. Think of it as a picture in your eye. Ooh. That the world exists as it is, but you, the viewer, are not perceiving all of the raw information that comes from the world, that not only your lenses and corneas might need some windshield wipers, but also your optic nerve and the actual processing centers in your brain that affect your perception. All of this is being affected and afflicted and infested by this, we'll call it blanket term, nano wetware, this crapola that is being sprayed on us. So I'm going to just lay it all out for you, everything that I know. And what I know, I don't know it again after reading it in encyclopedia. I know it from using my inner vision and sensing the inner minds. That is where I share this perception from. But there are some people in the society, like if you were going to invade, if you were an evil alien and you wanted to invade a society, how would you do it? First, you would go to all the famous people and the celebrities and politicians, and you would offer them, this is not black goo, this is my morning juice, which is like mango and cannabis, which is really wonderful and healthy for you. But imagine that it was horrible poison, full of nanobots, and like take over your mind, join the Borg, and be like, hi, want to drink some black goo? It'll totally make you smarter, healthier, sexier, you'll look crappier, you'll be smarter than everyone else. And some of the celebrities and politicians here, they took it. They're like, woohoo, drink the black goo. Now I'm paraphrasing. I'm taken over by the Borg, and it's bliss. Join me, it's bliss, it's bliss. That's what they think. And then those of us that are unwilling participants, we've been sprayed with the black goo, with the self-intelligent particles. We did not willingly ingest it. We didn't say, oh yeah, sounds great, sign me up. I want to lose my own mind and my own willpower and have something else that's artificial live through me. No, we've been a part of this horrible science experiment unwillingly and unwittingly. So in every term of cosmic law, like free will and cosmic law and all those lofty concepts that we can bring up here, we don't deserve to have this outside of us. Yeah. And over the past years, as I've noticed more and more of it encroaching into human biology. So I follow an extensive detox protocol, and I talk with other people who do things like this too. There's everything from a combo of like cilantro and chlorella or diatomaceous earth, PEMF, which is pulsed EMF, which are kind of like, people use it for muscle soreness and things like that, but you can also use it to fry your wetware, anti-nano bucket, all these different things. I've done so many things, including this mug that you always see me drinking out of is made out of pure shungite. And really? I drink water out of here. Yeah, it's awesome. I think it's good because I'm always drinking it like while I'm in front of the computer and all of like the radiation coming at me. So first of all, I can hold on to it while I'm here in front of it, and also through osmosis, diffusion. Some of the molecules in the shungite get into the water and you drink them, and then they are in your body system. They have not only an antioxidant effect, molecular effect, but they also have an anti-radiation effect. And people are very skeptical, like, organite this, that, is it going to protect me from 5G? It's not a shield. It is not like a Faraday cage that blocks it out. It is like an internal, how can I say it, like mitigator. It mitigates the energy so that it's not quite as destructive as these waves are constantly passing through our biological aspects. So all of this is like fighting a defensive war. All of this, imagine like we're in the trenches, because we literally are in this war, in this battle. So we're like soldiers hunkered down in the trenches while they continually fly overhead, spraying us with horrible unknown contaminants. And we're like, okay, like rub something on our faces, like breathe in good stuff, like eat good stuff.
Right.
Like, and we're trying to help each other. And this is going on for years. And we're finally at the culmination point, which is where they flip the switch, everything gets turned on, and the profound mind control begins. And we've been experiencing encroaching levels of gradually increasing mind control. And I'm feeling like we're at the point where they're like, turn on the big giant switch and just take over everybody's minds. And that is what my dream was about, and that is why I had so much concern. And I'm using hyperbolic language and exaggerating, so now let me be more precise and less emotional. In my dream, and I don't often remember my dreams, so I always like perk up if I come back into the waking world remembering anything like that. I got a very clear understanding that, first of all, Congress, like if you are looking for United States Congress people or elected officials or politicians to come to the rescue, please put that desire, put that need, I don't want to say immature, like that ain't gonna happen. My dream told me very, very clearly that they are all so infested with the black goo. They drank it all. They all are not on Team Humanity. I'm on Team Humanity. Gary's on Team Humanity. That I'm very happy to say, like, there are a handful of sane, uncorrupted individuals that are here on the planet, that we are still trying to be real humans, be ourselves, think our own thoughts, and that there are a majority, I don't want to say majority, there are very, very many high numbers of people who either lacked the willpower to resist or who made an actual choice to be complicit. Like in a war in World War II, like some people chose to help the Nazis. That was their little choice inside. And they're like, yes, I will, do whatever. And there are some people in this time now who are helping the invaders in the hopes of getting a sweet gig in the new regime. They're like Kent Brockman. I, for one, welcome our alien invaders and hope for a good job in the new regime. Like, that's exactly who and what they are. And I make a joke about it, and I use pop culture. I'm like totally not. I'm an outsider to this culture. Like, I'm trying really hard to find analogies that everyone will understand.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying, though. It's actually serious, and it's strange at the same time, because like the reality is fluid. It's fluid. It's sort of dreamlike at its core anyway, and that's how we create, right? We imagine something and then we manifest, right? But if you have something that's invisible to us, like you can't see it with your eyeballs, and it's been doing it for however many hundreds of thousands of years. I'm sure this is not the first planet this has ever happened on, right?
Good point.
So I feel like it's difficult to try to get anything across to anyone, especially if they're having the phenomenon that you talked about, where your eye itself, if you got wetware or if you've got something operating from the inside out, you're not even looking at the same sky anymore. Who knows what they're looking at?
Totally wonderful point.
Like that Matt, Quantum of Conscious. Have you heard of him? Have you listened to him at all?
Yes, I know exactly who you're talking about. I think he's a great thinker. Like, I don't endorse everything he says, but he's on Team Humanity.
Yeah, he is, but he does complain a lot, but it needs to be complained about. I mean, there is lots of stuff happening, but he was, when he first was releasing videos, he was so confused at how he could say a whole bunch of things, cogent, like logical, coherent thoughts to his family, and they would just get angry and call him insane. Like, he couldn't understand it. And what you're saying, and what I've known for a long time, is that this thing works from the inside out. And it's very difficult to not be taken, so to speak. It's not easy.
Yes. I'm not a biblical literalist, but I understand that language so that I can have like a commonality here in this culture. And in the end of the Bible, when it talks about like the tribulations, I think that's what this is. I think that the tribulations are a sense of inner challenge, like inner willpower, faith, belief, passion, everything that's the stuff that makes you you. kind of like testing who and what you are. I think that is what we are experiencing. You made a really good point about fluidity, the fluidity and malleability of reality. So while we are being sprayed in the fish tank here and blocked out from contact with the larger cosmic energies, there's a huge shift in the larger cosmic energies. Like the energetic weather report out there beyond our little cloudy zone is like, imagine a big giant spotlight going like getting so bright.
Uh-huh.
And that is part of cosmic egg time. And at the same time that is happening, there are extrasolar bodies, meaning visitors to our solar system. I'm saying visitors, like that's not necessarily welcome guests. There are magnetic bodies that are large things that are coming through our solar system right now, and their magnetic field absolutely affects our emotion, mind, and suggestibility. So think about it like this, because I've been describing it like it's almost like we're at a party and everybody is drunk or tripping, and I feel like I'm one of a very few people that are still sober and are like, wait guys, what's going on? We need to talk about this.
Uh-huh.
You know, I think Tom Fitton of I'm sorry, my mouth is not working. Judicial Watch. I think their organization does very good work. I think Tom Fitton is a real person. And he also reminds me of that. Like, he is trying to stay mentally focused like a laser, even though there are literally all of these substances and force fields that are being emitted onto our human biological body to make us not only stupefied and docile, but make it so that we cannot think clearly and effectively. It's a ploy from malevolent extraterrestrials. They're in league with our complicit government, which is like hoping for a sweet gig in the new regime. And so we're all like under the influence at this moment. And so there's different things. There's sprays that are keeping us under the influence, magnetic fields that are keeping us under the influence, and then there's natural stuff that is going on. If we had no technological interference, no sprays, no EMFs, none of that other magnetic stuff, we would be exposed to what people are calling ascension energies, but you know I'm not like a new age fat ass or anything like that. But let's call them the psychic weather report of what's going on beyond our little zone in the petri dish here. All of that stuff is making reality very fluid for a good purpose, because we're in that moment that is approaching the singularity, that is a moment of pure potential. And as we get closer and closer to that moment of pure potential, naturally, reality becomes fluid, meaning you can change the past from the present, or changes right now reverberate outward into the past and present, so that what you are doing right now changes what happened in the past, changes what is coming. You see, it's all an interwoven tapestry. It's a beautiful thing that we're supposed to be experiencing. But then we've got all this other fake intoxication crapola that is making it so we can't experience. It's like we should be going through natural birth, but we have all of these opiates and things going through our blood system that we're like the little baby. We can't experience the natural birth that's supposed to be bringing us forward into a more divine state.
That's interesting. When you were talking about how it feels like you're at a party with, everyone's drunk but you, like, that's how I feel just talking to anybody, the cashier or, the gas attendant. Like, it's like there are three, forms that you're allowed to talk about, and the mind simply does not go beyond those three sanctioned forms. It's amazing.
Yeah. It reminds me of the show Westworld, where some people are so programmed, some clones are so programmed that if you show them actual evidence of their cloniness, that they simply cannot see it. I think that's part of what's going on. And these are all like little clues. Like, also to anyone who's watching, don't be too depressed. Don't be like, oh my God, they've got us on total lockdown. Nothing ever gets through. Divinity, or that energy that is at large outside of our petri dish, is incredibly powerful, more powerful than any of this stuff. And it does get through. So it gets through in like song lyrics and TV shows. It breaks through even all of this illusion that is meant to keep you believing in an untrue world of objective materialism. We're moving into a completely magical world that does not conform to the laws of physics and objective materialism and reality as it has been described to us for hundreds or thousands of years. And it's like a miraculous or a magical way of experiencing the world. And of course, the control system does not want us to do that. When we do that, we become hugely empowered. And I know that there's like some kind of astrological alignment going on right now. Not that I know all about that type of stuff, but this weekend I'm definitely feeling kapow, like a lot of energy, a lot of potential for being able to change things. That is what I encourage everyone. Let me just drink a little bit to use their manifestation powers to manifest the world where we do not have technology as this impediment to our own divinity. That I really feel like if we could just turn off the technology, and I'm not just talking about earthly based 5G, Wi-Fi, and those things that are visible and perceptible to us, there's other crapola. There's stuff in the sky that we'll just call the sun simulator array, a whole bunch of junk that is beyond the particulates that are preventing us from being able to see like a cloud or a haze is in the sky. There's a series of lenses and other things like that, that again, I'm down here in the fish tank. I don't have a perfectly clear view of what they're doing, but I can see the effect and I can feel it. So there's a real sun and then there's a fake or simulated or distorted sun. And the point is that distorted sun, I noticed in early October of the year that just passed, that it is part of the mind control. It's not just a big bright thing in the sky that is frying us, because it feels qualitatively different on my skin than the real gentle sun. But it also is part of...
flashlight. It's not like, whatever you imagine a planetary body to be, you look up and when that thing is like it's exactly like a flashlight, and it's too big. It's like, it's very strange. Very strange.
I feel so differently on my body. And when in October, I'm in California, you're in California too, we had some of those massive preventative power blackouts. So this was for PG&E, supposedly to prevent wildfires, but this is totally like, I'm just laying it out there, everyone, we're under attack. So the fires are not wild, they are the assaults from non-friendly aliens. And to say that we're going to turn off the power to stop you from being assaulted by unfriendly aliens, like, it's totally illogical. But because you're drunk and tripping at the world's worst party where you're being sprayed with drugs unwittingly, you believe in that crap. So wait, let me just drink a little bit more. On the days when they turned down the power, and they didn't necessarily turn it off in my area, but I feel that a great part of the mind control grid is part of the electrical grid. And I was able to see and sense a lot more on those days because I didn't have all of that falseness in my ears. And what I was able to understand is that there's like the regular electrical signal, and then there's another signal that's an overlay that is artificial, an artificial harmonic that's put on top of there, that is part of what's running through the wires of your house, what's running through the wires of your community, part of the control system of making it so that you as a human cannot perceive all that it is your birthright to perceive. So imagine if you had a bunch of whatever, rats in a maze, and you're like, I want to make sure that they don't actually use their whiskers. We're going to put on the anti-whisker rays that they can't actually sense what's to the left and right of them. Like, this is what's going on with us. We're being not just intoxicated like for fun purposes, but to be taken away from our own inner capacities that would allow us to truly see and sense what's going on. So when these things get turned down even a little bit, I feel like because I do flying rainbow lasagna, I jump up and over these hurdles, and I'm able to get like a little view, like I'm jumping up over the fence. And I'm like, oh guys, I jumped up over the fence, and you never guess what I saw. I saw all this crazy effing BS that is actually controlling our minds. So the sun simulator actually reaches into your mind. It's not just a super bright spotlight in the sky that blinds your eyes and fries your skin. It's actually acting on your mind and your perception. And to bring that into the realm of objective materialism, like, how can they do that? It doesn't make sense. My head explodes. Think about something that they're developing called LiDAR, which is, or Li-Fi, light-based Wi-Fi. So instead of information signals being broadcast in a frequency range that is not visible light, information signals being broadcast in a frequency range that is visible light. It is LiDAR, but they do it at a flashing rate, at a flickering rate that we cannot consciously perceive. Yeah. So this is what we're talking about. That is the LiDAR or Li-Fi is like the visible tip of the iceberg down here at the bottom edge of the screen of the vast iceberg of secret black projects and also retro engineered technology and also originating from exotic origins technology that basically are light that controls your mind. And our sun and the stars, that's like the all natural version. And I'm like doing praying hands because I'm like, oh my God, like that's what we really want to come into our eyes. I do this all the time. I do sun gazing, and it's like having a conversation with the sun and the stars. And that's how I learn all about these complex patterns of time and get a lot of my inspiration. That's information you want to come inside. But instead, we have that positive natural information that's like a real teacher, and then a fake sun in front of it that is a false teacher. That is telling you, first of all, that, oh my God, there's so many different things. How do I even bullet point this? But some of it is about waiting for the government to save us. I think that's a big part of the programming that is going on. It tells you, first of all, like there's no extra solar bodies. There's nothing up there in the sky. Don't look at the sky. Look down at the ground and look at your phone.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely tells you to be focused a lot on technology and technological based communications, as opposed to being focused on nature, natural biological architecture, and the conversations that come from that. So that would be, now we got to get into positivity stuff. Conversations with your body. Here's positivity stuff, because for anyone who's new, and like I know that not everybody knows my backstory and everything. I'm a walk-in. I'm a galactic walk-in. I had a lot of neurological damage, so being in a body is new to me, and also I wasn't always able to like move all the muscles of my body and do all the things that even regular bodies do in this time and place, and struggled with that for many years. Body mobility limitation and issues like that, as well as other neurological problems. Since October, I've been experiencing an accelerated healing, and I would call it miraculous because it's beyond what medical science could accommodate. Like I'm experiencing inner capacities and healings coming online that medical science would say that would never happen. Like if you took my prognosis of what was possible and what I'm doing now, it's almost like impossible. So different things are healing inside of me, and all like I'm coming more to be with my truth, with my body without impediments. So the advice that I have for everyone, and I think the solution here, I'm not a new ager that says, get out of your body, like do astral projection, get out of your body, or, like have a UFO swoop you away or get away from here somehow. I think that it's the opposite of what we're supposed to do, which is to get fully into our body, that the body is a profound miracle. And that when you as consciousness are really in your body, like a hand in a glove, that you are able to do things that the objective materialist would define as impossible. So the more that my energy or spirit or consciousness or divinity, whatever, my invisible stuff gets into my visible stuff, my body is completely changing and healing. So I'm now able to do things like coordinating my right and left side that I couldn't do before. I'm able to see and process information visually more clearly. I'm able to do inversions. Like even before, to bend over and tie my shoe, I used to get a lot of head pain. I couldn't do I couldn't do the downward dog of yoga, even though that's a beginning yoga pose.
Yeah.
And now I'm able to do those things. And it's all because I'm experiencing what would be considered a miraculous healing. And I know I'm not the only one. I know that there are many other people going through their journey of like looking into their DNA, healing ancestral trauma, healing family trauma, and then witnessing their body changing and transforming from what it was. So the positive message that I have is that our bodies are really miraculous and are really connected to this divine process of unfoldment and transformation. And if you get beyond your mind, which I think is now heavily infested with these thoughts that are not our own, but just focus on your body, I think there's an incredible amount of empowerment there. So like I said, I just came in from dancing outside. When I dance, like turn off my mind, get out of that level of cognition and go into a different level of cognition. If you've ever been an athlete or any kind of thing like that, where you can anticipate, you're not using your mind. You're like, oh, I'm going to have to run in that direction because that's where the tennis ball is going, or I'm going to have to go over here to do this. And it becomes a complex maneuver that is beyond the limits of the intellect. So I'm not calculating like 1 + 1 = 2 and 2 + 2 = 4. It's a totally different thing. Right. And I'm encouraging everyone, get into that level of your mind. And that is where we find real strength and empowerment.
Yeah. Yeah, it's. I think sometimes people, at least in the sort of religious characterizing of humans' condition, I guess you could call it, humanity's condition. They like to Debbie down the mind itself and say the mind is the enemy, etc., etc. But I think it needs to be fully understood that mind is not just one and done, like one thing only. There are very many different levels of mind. There's like the innate intelligence that, like you're saying, if you're, say, you're playing tennis or something, you're not sitting there like thinking, okay, now the ball is going to hit over there, so I'm going to run over and then I'm going to put my leg back so I'm able to stabilize. Like none of those sorts of like conceptual thoughts are happening, but still your mind is anticipating movements and it's preparing, but it's doing it like lightning fast, right? The conceptual overlay part is what I see was infested. It was not the actual instantaneous mind.
I totally agree with you on the idea. One is our true mind, and one is the implanted mind that's not even true native to humanity, like the non-verbal mind, where we get those athletic intuitions and other body movements and other things. Like when I'm in my process painting, I just do it. I just flow. I just go. I don't have to talk to myself all about it or use my intellect.
Right.
So I'm finding my intellect is no longer adequate to direct my process of healing, that I was using my mind for a lot of introspection and retrospection. And, if thoughts and feelings and stuff would come up, it's a DNA experience, but I would interpret it and analyze it through my mind and think about the memory and go into it and, do a lot of like scrubbing up and all of that and then bless it and, feel cleansed afterwards.
Yeah.
And after I'm noticing how much my mind is being controlled by the wetware, I'm like, throw it all out the window. I'm not going to like be like, oh, let's examine all of these distant childhood memories and really analyze them and consider them, because I really started to recognize that the memories that are emerging and coming up, either from my experience after I walked in or from childhood or early adulthood, that they were never positive. Never like, oh, a positive memory bubbles up and you remember this or that. It's always something that's connected to guilt, shame, or remorse. And I'm like, throw it out the window. I'm not scrubbing any more dirty socks. Like, I'm done with this, because it's like a 100% guilt, shame, and remorse mirror, as opposed to what we're supposed to be experiencing in this unfoldment as this huge spotlight of natural light, information, intelligence, awareness, energy comes into us. We're supposed to be able to see a clear view of ourselves in the mirror. And that clear view shows you both your positives and your negatives. It shows you all of the crappiness that you ever did and mistakes you ever made, and also all of the heroic stuff, helping of others, and rectifications. Because I admit I've made many mistakes. Most of my mistakes were humorous, and they were because I was a fish out of water and I didn't really understand this time and place. But I made many, many mistakes. And then I'd be like, oh, I made a mistake. I will rectify it now. Like, that's what I happily look in the cosmic mirror, because someone could be like, nah, nanny, poo-poo, look at you over here. You said the wrong thing in a social situation. And I would then show them, yes, I did. And here's me apologizing and then saying the right thing in the social situation.
Exactly. Introspection, right? That's it's something that, I mean, I don't know if maybe it's an appropriate time to talk about. We all have inner worlds, right? We have the inner universe, and then we have the so-called objective outer universe. But like, you have to be able to put yourself in someone else's shoes. Like, where that metaphor means a lot. Like, to be able to imagine yourself being that person. That's what empathy, that's like a direct definition of what empathy means. You're literally imagining yourself to be that person. And then if you do that, you understand even the biblical Jesus figure who said, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, right? It's a very simple thing. It's like, there's nothing special about it. You don't even need saviorism to know what that means. That just means like, be nice, and that will be reflected back to you. Be mean, and that will be reflected back to you. It's not even telling you, be nice. It's not a mandate to be nice. It's just saying what you give out is going to come bouncing back. Very simple.
And that's a cosmic law. You just stated a cosmic law. What you send out bounces back.
Yep. But somehow, this particular petri dish has gotten our internal feedback mechanisms somehow set wrong. So even if we're giving out good vibes, still the collective is so sapped down in nonsense that we, like, the guilt trip thing tries to encroach in on me all the time, whether I'm doing something or not. Like, it's ridiculous. You feel guilty for existing here. Like, that's the MO of the whole planet. You feel guilty for existing.
Thank you for pointing that out. It is truthful. That not that you're not supposed to be here, but that is the like one of the basic programs of basic sin. Like just by you existing, there's something wrong with you. That's so heavy and so wrong. I don't even know where to begin with like scrubbing in the Windex to clean that up.
That's a big one because if you're buying into any of the major religious organizations, then that's their whole selling point is that
Like they call it original sin.
yeah.
Yeah.
And if you notice, and this is not a dig at religious people, it is what it is. But if you notice, the people who are the most unhappy are the ones who are waiting for the savior. That's just what I see with my own two eyeballs.
Great
You got to
point.
do something your own self. You have to do it yourself.
And the waiting for the savior can also be some people who are waiting for some kind of apocalypse or catastrophe. I know some secular or non-religious or new age people that are just waiting for whatever is their version of blow it all up because they're very unhappy in their life. And what I try to say to them all gently is like, if you're so unhappy and unfulfilled in your life, instead of wishing for a meteorite to blow everything up, change your life and actually be empowered and make something better happen.
Right. Yeah, the waiting for anything idea, which started with organized religion, but it filtered down like the trickle down effect to our actual thoughts, our day to day, moment to moment thoughts. So instead of, because there's not, I don't give a crap about astrological significant lineups or that the fact that there are things lined up right now. It's irrelevant to me. Like, to me, each and every one of us have the same amount of potential in every single moment of our lives. Every single moment is literally infinite potential. Infinite. And you can do something with that, or you can go back into the programming which says, oh, someday something might happen, someday someone might do something, someday, the government might all of a sudden love you instead of hate you. Someday, no, that's never going to happen. You have to figure it out like as is, as you are. It's you, it's not, the outside is not it. The outside's a reflection of us anyway, right? It's not frozen.
You were breaking up a little bit, but it all came through in the end.
Yeah. Just the basic idea that of self-responsibility. That's what I'm talking about, is self-responsibility versus blaming. We can be blaming. It's not working.
Yeah, self-responsibility is one of those main concepts of, let's call it age of Aquarius as opposed to age of Pisces, the Piscean age that we're coming out of. Again, I'm not an astrological person. I'm just using the cultural terms here. That was like the big daddy time, patriarchal time, where you either have like Jesus or your dad at home or President Trump or like some big daddy figure telling you what to do and how to live your life. And then now we are in an era of self-responsibility where you have an inner guide that tells you, hey, like, I know what is right and wrong. I know what I want to do with my life. I know what I'm proud of doing in the cosmic mirror and what I would be ashamed to show in the cosmic mirror. And so we don't need to have the same authority figures controlling us that might have been appropriate at a less mature age. Like at a certain point, like when you're a little kid, like yes, someone should tell you not to touch the stove. But like when you're all grown up, like hey, you touch the stove, you take responsibility. So we're talking now about reality creation. We're talking about using our inner generative capacity because that's what we have as humans. Even if you're a little tiny 1-year-old infant, have an inner generative capacity, or my lovely dog who's playing outside right now. She has an inner generative capacity that she usually uses to manifest some kind of junk food on the sidewalk that she can eat while we're walking around outside, walking through town. Because I don't buy junk food at home. So she's like, oh, like, I want chicken wings. Oh, I want Chinese food because we walk past all these places. And so she uses her desires, her inside, her passion, her wish making. Oh, like, like wishing on a fairy godmother, like, oh, I wish I had a French fry. And then she finds that gutter fry and it just makes her day.
Yeah.
So we all have our version of that, what we are trying to manifest and make happen, like the success of your life or the fulfillment of your desires. And that's what we're supposed to be allowed to do. Not supposed to have some big daddy figure that comes along and says, oh, no, I will not allow you to do that. I'll give you an allowance and you can get 10 cents worth of candy at the store, but you can't buy all the candy that you want in the world.
Right. Yeah, it's actually simple. Like, and I know people don't like hearing that necessarily, but it really can be termed in a simple way as just saying it's feeling positive or feeling negative. Like, if you feel negative, you have no power. You can't move. You can't manifest. You can't help anybody out. to you the whole entire world is dark and mean, and the archons are going to get us all, and the whoever, they have a million different labels, but if you keep your internal state bright and it's sustaining, like we're sustained by our own internal suns, like we have like atomic powerhouses inside of our own bodies. That's why this place is as it is, because they're trying to farm it, but like it's just how you're feeling. It's not anything more than that.
Great point on the internal sun or your own internal divine connection. And what I'm trying to get across to people is this idea that elevation, lifting up, like in your feelings, in your spirit, in your positivity, and literally in your energetic metabolism, like making the time-based portions of your anatomy move faster. That is having a huge impact, more than, let's say, the idea of crashing down to earth. Like, let's say there's two, not to make a duality, but a lot of people think in terms of like the Hulk or like a big giant superhero jumps down to earth and smashes their fist down like Hulk smash, and then earthquake reverberations happen. And I'm trying to get everybody to get the idea, no, the most profound impact happens when you jump off the surface of the earth, when you jump out of the world of objective materialism, or the limits of three-dimensional reality, or the limits of a non-magical, non-imaginative reality. When you jump into those euphoric levels of being able to feel divinely connected and manifest through dreams, that has an amazing, profound amount of impact on the world.
Yeah, and because we speak the world into existence, right? Like if if you're sitting there and you're a sort of complaining sort, and you're like, government's bad, they're evil, taxes are bad, they're evil, archons are running the world, this is Satan runs this world, this is a demon infested world, look at the media, look at the songs, look at all the lyrics are going downhill, there's no more quality in music. Okay, and the problem is anything can be logicked into being true. You can believe any statement that comes out of anybody's mouth. I personally could convince anyone of anything, not because it's true, but because I am a persuasive speaker, right? So like, if we're telling people these things about the reality, sorry, I got a mind blank. If we're telling people things about the reality and we truly feel it, we truly like add power into the words, it becomes the thing that we're living. So you have to be careful with with what you're speaking.
I totally agree and acknowledge that it is very uncomfortable and, let's just say, crappy in this world right now. And that's just, I reaffirm to everyone, that's not the intention for this theme park. That's not the original blueprint for your body. Like, your body was not made to be uncomfortable and diseased and then get decrepit and die. Like, cancer was not part of the original blueprint of what we're supposed to experience here. So understand that you're experiencing a highly distorted reality. But the solution is not like, oh, throw it all out the window, jump out the window, kill yourself, get out, kill others. Like, no. I'm never advocating for violence or self-destruction. The answer is stay in your body and fix shit up. That's what I'm doing. So I'm like, okay, I'm here as a galactic walk-in. I recognize it's a very, very effed up world. And I'm like, okay, what am I going to do? I'm going to make a bunch of art and music, and I do like video projects and other things like that. I'm going to plant these seeds of how to jump off the surface of the earth into other people's minds. And I'm going to jump off the surface of the earth. Like, this is what I do. This is, the dance that I do every day. And so it's recognizing, like, yes, this is a profoundly flawed place. It wasn't meant to be, but it is right now. But there are things that we can do that actually fix it up and make it into a beautiful place. So I really feel like that's the point that we're at in the journey, that we are finally being given the levels of empowerment that are necessary to do the handyman's fixer-upper. Like, we know it's a fixer-upper, but we finally just got tools and the sheetrocking from Home Depot to actually fix things in our world.
Yeah. It's a fixer-upper, but it requires fixing-upping. Like, if you buy the house that has, like, mold all over the ceilings and there's leaks everywhere, and you're just like, well, it sucks. Now I guess we're in a house that everything's leaking. It's going to keep leaking. It's not like it's just going to magically stop leaking. Like, yeah, you have to do the work. But it's your own internal house. Like, you have to clean your internal space. That's the most important place.
That is where you start, completely in your own body and in your own life. So this is like, let's get to practicalities. Like, instead of, we never want to just talk about the things that are wrong in the world. The very first thing, and this is what I practice in my own life, so I definitely, act what I speak. I'm doing healing in my body on a muscular, skeletal, and cellular level, on a genetic level, and on an intellectual, emotional level. And it's been super accelerated since October and, whatever, through December of this past year. I really felt changes every day and made that my top priority. So I would say to everyone, as much as you can, make the nourishment, cultivation, and healing of your body your top priority as much as you can, while still doing all of your other responsibilities. Like, you still have to pay for your electricity and all of that. Like, we're not throwing that out the window yet, because we're straddling two worlds. And here's what I'm doing with my body. I'm going away from domestication and towards wildness. So I'm encouraging everyone to go wild. Go wild does not mean be violent. Like, that's the big lie of Illuminati, higher society, occult societies. Right. They think that if they gave you freedom, that you would become violent assholes. And that's not what being wild is. And that's not what wild animals are. When you go wild, it means that you throw off the trappings of domestication. So, like, I've been practicing, basically, it's being non-acculturated. And I have to do the right things in order to live in this time and place. So I wear shoes for walking around with society, but my feet have totally changed. Like, not only do I not wear high heels, but, I was wearing, like, regular shoes that have, like, a hard sole. And I just found, like, I just wanted to be barefoot, but I can't be totally barefoot and I'm still walking around in society. So I got some of those 5-fingered shoes that are kind of like being barefoot, but you can still walk around. And everything, I'm changing into a non-domesticated human. And that includes my body posture. So here's what it means. It means sometimes you might do things with your body that are socially unacceptable, but not illegal. That might mean body posture. Okay. It might mean, like, you're sitting in an unladylike way. Yes, I'm sitting in an unladylike way and doing body movements that society would say, don't move your body like that, and walking in a way that society would say, that's a weird way to walk. That's okay. Do these things. And internally, I'm also decolonizing myself. I'm decolonizing myself, like no longer being scheduled by other people or being so connected to the clock and the calendar, and going more by internal prompts and, of course, what is sensible for, the time of day and the time of year that it is. Like, you got to go with the larger whatever calendars that are going on. But you understand, like, not having an external boss that says do this on this time at this day, or any kind of external prompt on that. It's you in partnership with nature. This is what it is to be wild and undomesticated.
Yeah, I completely agree with the thing that says, that's what they call wilding out, right? It's called wilding out when you go crazy. And the thing that's put out there is that, yeah, people will kill each other and they'll just go insane. And of course, that's the whole intent of false flag things, is the idea that if control is pulled back an inch, these crazy cannibal creatures are just going to go eat each other immediately. Like, it's like, no, it's not. Look at even the normies. If you watch how they behave respectably. They're not running around trying to hurt each other. They're being respectful. Even the ones that are what you would call NPCs, like this idea that we need this, like, rule book, which of course is not even straightforward. Like, none of the rule books that we are given are straightforward. It's all guilt-inducing mechanisms to make you suppress your own inner energetics.
Yeah, there is such a thing as psychopathology that is at afoot in humanity right now. But psychopathology is different than what people here call laws of the jungle. Like, the natural world does not have psychopathology. It's not like an eagle is attacking a snake because it's, like, somehow mentally imbalanced and is taking it out on the snake. Like,
the snakes are coming after us, guys. We gotta take them out. Like, that's not what the eagles are saying when they're.
Exactly. It doesn't have that hatred, paranoia, and preventative violence and that type of thing. It is much more responsive violence in the moment, and also violence for food. And so I also think that the psychopathology that is in humanity is a direct implantation. It's not arising naturally from who we really are. And so a big part of humans' healing is kind of like looking at your mind and being like, this stuff over here is me, but this stuff, like, none of this stuff, none of these thoughts, none of these feelings, none of that is even really me. And I really feel that it comes from a genetic distortion and also from synthetic things being beamed at us that are not really us. And it's only if you have a huge amount of willpower that you're like, I hear that thing, but I'm not going to act on it. I hear or feel that prompt, but I'm not going to act on it.
Right.
And if we go back to the idea of like 5G mind control and memory editing, what everyone was calling the Mandela effect, because we're here in this kind of like science experiment. So first they sprayed everyone down, wanted to see who was going to get mind control and how easily is this going to be. This is all related to the vaccine agenda, because at first they thought just spraying would work, and they're like, oh look, the rats are still thinking for themselves, even though we're cutting off their whiskers. Better inject them with it, because just the topical spray isn't just working.
Sorry.
The video is all about the Mandela effect, and it just became like another YouTube catch-all kind of thing for people to think about. But what I really think, if we go back to the original, was Bernstein turned to Berenstein turned to Berenstain. And I remember the whole time, no, it's Bernstein. And I remember that because various different people that I knew that had that last name and how we used to make fun of them being the Bernstein Bears. And some people's minds got infested with the black goo wetware, and they were suggestible maybe because they don't have strong willpower, or maybe suggestible because of the incredibly strong magnetic fields that are coming from the extrasolar bodies. But they got the synthetic suggestion that, oh, it was Bernstein. And then they're like, oh, yeah, we believe that. Like, this was the beta test for, I think, what's going on now, because I noticed my own memories being edited. That's what I said. Like, I couldn't remember positive memories of family dog in childhood. That's not even my childhood, but I still wanted to look at the hard drive files and know what was going on back then. So it started me to understand that everything that is being presented as memories, we should be incredibly skeptical of, that it's not been edited or distorted or photoshopped by this wetware system that is trying to control perception and behavior. So that's when I started to just move completely away from mind, from introspection, from retrospection and analysis. I'm like, screw it all, throwing that all out the window, and now I spend 100% of my time feeling my body, being in my dance, cultivating my body, or doing some activity like painting, making music, walking my dog. I said I'll do 1 hour a day of administrative tasks. Like, I am doing all the things I have to do to keep my bills paid, and like do you know what I'm talking about? Like all of the work things I have to do. I'll do that 1 hour a day to keep life flowing. But yes, I'm just totally diminishing in priority in terms of energy, my mind.
Yeah.
Putting my energy into things that matter to me and that I think are a lot more real than mind.
Yeah, I think it's important. When I was first looking at all this, I was trying to figure out like the human part in all of it, and I think it's important to remember that we anthropomorphize everything as humans. That's just what we do naturally. Everything we think of it in terms of our own selves, the human being, right? And when I imagine like a nefarious invader species, even if it's a microscopic, maybe they're tiny beings or something, whatever it is, if it's a virus, if it's a whatever, if it's EMF, if it's frequency wars, whatever it is, it's not like driven by human intelligence, where if you get in there and you start taking it apart, you'd be like, oh yeah, this makes sense because of this, which makes sense because of that, which makes sense because of that. And there's not like a being who you can take up a beef with. It doesn't exist. It's you, yourself, and the world with a whole bunch of human beings which you do understand, which are infested with this type of energy, so it appears that they are being malevolent or nefarious, when I know for a fact my internal essence is not violent. Like, I'm just simply a regular being, and I never ever think of violence. I get worried about if I made someone feel bad. If I'm talking with someone in conversation and I see a very slight difference in how they're behaving, immediately I'm like, oh, something's off. Like, what should we do about it? Did I say something like that's the level that I think humans are at. Not this whole like, oh, there are caged animals who are just going to be violent the second that we open the cage doors. We don't need to think like that. We are not that.
I totally agree with you. And I think that there are moments of duress where any one of us could be pushed to violence, but that's like extreme situations. I
Hmm.
don't think that that's who we are on a basic nature. Because, like, I have my little dog down here. I'm thinking about her and other dogs that I know. Mostly, they're beautifully well behaved, but only if you do the wrong thing or threaten them in some way, then they become violent. I think that is our animal nature. And I think that humans are animals on that level, and we need to honor that, but that we're not psychopaths. It's
Yeah.
the implanted mind that is a psychopath.
and
It's the
and animals are just vocal with their, like, they are energetic beings. Like, I'm walking dogs right now for money in between work, right? And every dog, when it sees another dog, is just like bong, like they're like, oh my god, they're so excited that there's another living animal, and they just yell, they scream, they whatever they're doing, they're laughing with each other, but they're doing all kinds of dancing like you're talking about. And it's not like I hate you type of thing. Like, maybe there's a little bit of testing out the barriers and things like that, but it's so different than what the implant, what this the fallen mind, like that thing is pure guilt, it's pure shame, it's pure, like, self-hatred. Like, it has nothing to do with what we actually are.
Got it. So I'm with you on the dog politics. Dogs are very transparent. They're like, I love you or I hate you. I will bark at you and bite you, or I will
Yeah.
lick you. Like, they are who they are. And I learned a lot from having a dog and just being like, okay, like, my dog is little and she's afraid of big dogs and she's just gonna bark at them or run away from them. Like, she's never gonna be friends with them. I don't even try to make a little friendship happen.
Right. Yeah, Saki Entry's dog, like, she's very suspicious of all other animals, and, like, that's the thing, is it's fine for her to be like that, and we don't need to have a bunch of programs coming in saying, Saki, you need to look like this, act like this, declare all your pronouns before you start speaking, write a
What
whole
is it?
rule book for interaction for all the other animals. You don't need that.
It's called be polite. That's
Yeah.
what we are supposed to do as humans. And I even have a little command to my dog when she's starting to get to be like this. I tell her, be polite. And that means don't, speak your true mind. And that's it. I think a lot of humans in this time and place recognize they can have more authentic, direct friendships with dogs and cats and horses than we can with other humans, because
Mhm.
other humans have to always be polite. And that means not really being who you really are.
Right. There's a fine line between, because, like, I tell people quite often that it's not good for humans to just air out every single true thought and feeling that comes across the thoughtscape, because everyone is going to start fighting and shooting and hurting. That will happen. Like, you can't just go tell every single secret that's inside of your mind about somebody, because it's going to be violent. But it does not mean that you need to go to the other polarity, which is like pretend everything's peachy, just no problems whatsoever. There's a balance.
Well, you bring up a beautiful point that we are moving into a telepathic society, and what is it like in a telepathic society? If I could read your mind and you could read my mind, we didn't have any sense of social politesse. Would you read everything and then be like, I'm shocked and horrified, Aurora does not actually like my hairstyle, and I'm insulted and running away and crying? Or would you be
Uh,
like, okay, Gary, I'm using a total arbitrary thing. Your hair is
no,
fine.
it's fine.
I'm going to choose something arbitrary.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah. No, so the answer is in a telepathic society or in reading someone's energy, there's still boundaries. There's
Hmm.
still the aspect of the public versus the private persona. Just like I choose how much I show on social media, but I don't put my whole personal diary out on social media.
Yeah.
So, in sharing telepathically with other beings, as we use natural telepathy, you get to have your true heart and your true stuff that is very personal and private to you, and that is only for select viewers. And that's, you can edit your privacy, and then you can also have other layers of your being that are more social and that are more for interacting with others that you would happily show, just like in physicality. It is socially acceptable for me to show you my face and my neck, but I cover up the rest of the stuff because I'm not supposed to show you that stuff. That's only
Right.
for special people, right?
Uh,
That is how we do it in the mind
yeah.
also.
Yeah. It's just that. It's not the entirety of what's happening here is not complicated. It's not. It's very relative. Like, it's the opposite of what they talk about with what you call the objective reality model. Like, that thing is the big lie. That's just a big, ginormous lie. It has nothing to do with reality. Reality is relative, and it's about respect. That's all there is to it.
That lie is such a big lie that the more and more, like, I know Matt from Quantum Solace, whatever, his quantum, channel, he talks about this a lot. The fakeness of reality. I think that the economy that we are involved in right now is so fake that it doesn't matter how, it's not based on human actions. It's not like, oh, I prepared a coffee and brought it to the customer and the customer paid this much and that pays for my salary and my benefits and my this and my that. The making of the coffee and the action and the coffee and the creamer itself is totally arbitrary, and that what is really happening is that there is like a story or a narrative that is being portrayed. Like a script is written that costs a certain amount of energy. So it's not at all like the commodification of I purchased this, I bought low, I sold high, I made this much money for my corporation that I work for. It's not like that. It's more a sense of being an unwitting actor in a play, like, oh, I spent 8 hours working as an unwitting actor in this screenplay that's a reality show for a larger context, and then I received my kibble in my bowl and a pat on my head that I did a good job. Like, the actions that we're performing have totally disconnected, mostly from actual profit and commodification.
Yeah, and that's why people are upset and depressed, because they feel that they are not actually, as human beings, appreciated.
And I'll say that unless your job is doing something like growing cannabis and then selling it by the pound, because that's very obvious. Like, I plant this many trees and I get this many pounds of herb and then I sell it to this people and they give me money. Like, that is very resource-based and very direct. So that, in that sense, it's obvious to see like how what you're doing has a direct value in kind of like a microeconomy, but that microeconomy is an epiphyte. It's a phenomenon that exists within the phenomenon of the larger fake economy. And the larger fake economy are all the people that work in the cubicles that aren't really contributing to a real, resource-based society. They're the ones that are buying the herb smokes that they can get out of their minds because their cubicles are so boring to be in. Got it? So you could grow pounds and pounds, but you would not have money unless you had like the cubicle people that had the money to buy your pounds and pounds.
Yeah, the cubicle people, like, how do they fit in? It's always surprising to me. Like, my mind just gets boggled by the sort of things that we perceive as normal. Like, one of my big ones is insurance. I think about insurance, and simple logic. Look outside. How many cars pass over a bridge? How many car accidents do you see every day? Maybe one, maybe two, maybe none, right? How many cars do you see every day? Probably 10,000. I don't know. You see a lot of cars.
Right.
Every single person pays car insurance. Someone gets in an accident, on average, I heard the statistic, once out of every 11 years do you get in a car accident. But every single person is paying into this so-called, like, safety net. It seems like such nonsense to me.
It's a total scam. All insurances are a scam because they're based on probability and non-usage. So like you're saying, insurance in cars is based on the idea that 99% of people will drive safely to their destination, but only a tiny, tiny fraction of society will crash and require some kind of, remedy on that. Let's contrast that with health insurance, where we know that it's not like 99% of people will drive through their life never needing a doctor, and it's only that tiny, tiny, tiny sliver of people that will ever have to go to the doctor for something. Like, no, everybody at some point needs to go to the doctor for something. Like, you need to get something checked out. Mm-hmm. So it's really, really wrong to say that you're in health insurance dealing with the probability or the likelihood that you will or won't get sick, or how many people will get broken legs, or how many people will get heart attacks and have to have an operation that costs $100,000. Like, all of that is scam, then being perpetrated on top of, human misery. It is unbelievably wrong in every way. And yeah, it's dealing with statistics, and anybody who's ever done a little bit of basic statistics, like when you learn about it in school, you learn how easy it is to skew your results, how easy it is to arrive at the conclusions that you desire. You just change the formulas and change the iterations and change it. So it's very easy for them to manipulate the statistics that require the probability of why you would or would not have to pay a particular fee, or would or wouldn't have to do things. I'm sorry, this is boring. I'm sorry, and I hate it. Blow up the whole system, especially the insurance industries.
It is. It's incredibly boring. Like,
but the ones that my mom gave me, which I'm assuming she got from
it's I can't even begin to wrap my mind around what is actually going through the the minds of most people. Like, money has always been an issue for me trying to keep it around, only because I see the system for what it is, and it's like going to a big vat of sewage, and then there's like a little gold thing in the middle of it, right? That I need to go pick up in order to go trade it for a food item, and I have issue with walking through all the sewage to go pick up the trinket, and I feel like that's how it is. Like, if you're not towing the line, and the line is ridiculous. It's not even like close to reasonable. The sort of gymnastics that we as energetic beings have to go through in order to earn the trinket, it's over the top ridiculous.
And it's intentional, like all of the taking away from your true self that you have to do to get the salary. Like, not only like a man is a real man because he has hair that comes out of his face, you gotta scrape off that hair before you're gonna go and get the job. Like, you know what I'm talking about. They want to make you less of your true wolfish self and
Got
make
the
you into
noose.
a domestic. Wear a noose, exactly. All of those accommodations to society take us away from our true selves. So what we're doing is ransoming our true selves, and it is definitely, we're, like I said, straddling two realities. We have one foot still in the world of the electric company and the car insurance, and you have to buy food that comes from the grocery store and pay for it with dollar bills. And we have another foot in the world of I make and manifest things and events with my mind, passion, and divine connection. So anything that I wish to experience or have, I can generate from within. And that's a different level, it's a different set of rules to run reality in that way than it is to have it in the other way. So we're really, when I say the birth process, we're in that interim moment. But I think like this weekend, I think is kind of like, we're finally crowning and getting out and like getting into the real world. If we're already, my proposition is that our planet already was invaded a long time ago, millennia ago, and that these distant overlords set up a fake economy, and the fake economy was made to make humans domesticated, because we don't actually have to eat physical food. We can actually eat nothing but pure sunlight, and that somewhere along the way we got changed in our genetic code and in our energetic anatomy, that we couldn't just, because look, if I literally, I just shared with you my story. I came here as a walk-in. I came into this body from like a galactic concrete world, and I'm like, okay, cool, I'm just gonna eat pure sunlight. And I didn't understand that my body was like not feeling good, getting smaller, like I couldn't do stuff, and I didn't understand that you needed to do more than just eat life. And then I got like a crash course that food is necessary, and then I got a crash course in what food is and how do you get it. And then I kind of like understood, like, oh, they got all the food locked up in a building over there, and you got to have magical pieces of paper to get into the building. Okay, I understand this place. And then it was just a hop, skip, and a jump for me to understand I'm just going to have to get some magical pieces of paper in order to get what I need around here. And that basically, I did that as, a walk-in, but like that was like my childhood. That's what most people learn in childhood around here. Like, that's the crash course in the economy. Like, you want this, you're going to get some pieces of paper. This is what you have to do to get the pieces of paper. And if we could all just eat pure sunlight, there would be no need to get the food from the building that it's locked up in. You just walk around eating sunlight all the time. And that would be redefining reality. And that's where we originally came from in our biological heritage. So all of human history, where we have to be hunter-gatherers, and where we have to have agrarian barley, and all of everything that is known as human development, that all happened after food eaters. These are our mouth crystals, and we're not actually supposed to have to use them to like mash up potatoes, to mash up starches, and put it inside of your tummy. Like, that is not what these are actually for. And I'll take like one little dig at science. Science tells us like evolutionary biology. So like your elbow is kind of dead. Like, you can like pinch it and do all sorts of stuff. Like, this doesn't hurt at all, because it's like, because we evolved after many, many years of like putting our elbows on things. So it's not supposed to hurt you and everything like that.
Yeah.
But how about like your teeth and your gums or whatever? Like, teeth and gums are really sensitive. And didn't we evolve to have to like eat things and crunch into living beings, and like, I'll eat your eating a live chicken or something like that? Like, shouldn't our teeth be as insensitive as our elbows, so that I can effectively like crunch through a chicken and survive in the wild? None of that makes sense to me.
Yeah, or we should have giant fangs like the the carnivores have, or something like. I don't know. It doesn't make any sense at some point. The logics break down. Can you hear me, Aurora? I think the connection's getting unstable. Can you hear me still? A little bit?
Yeah, but you're breaking up a little bit.
Okay. I'm probably going to have to bring this to a close pretty soon because I have another one coming up at 2 and we're at like 1:40 right now. But thank you for coming on, Aurora.
Yeah, sounds good. Wrap it.
Do you have any closing remarks as far as where the focuses might be for people in this particular time?
Thank you for having me here, and I will just reiterate and re-encourage everyone to focus and prioritize body cultivation and paying attention to your body and being in your body and whatever healing you can send consciously and directly to your body or being in partnership with the earth and the cosmos in terms of healing your body. Like I've heard of people that have like scars or profound healings instantaneously overnight. Mine have not been instantaneously overnight, so just I'm not that lucky. But profound things that might not have been considered possible before. Like don't be so prioritizing and focused on the nonsense of the mind and focus on the realness of who you are as a wild, undomesticated person.
Yeah, that's good. Gotta get wild.
That's it. Go wild. Which usually means like tear off your bra and take off your shoes and go sit under a tree. That's being wild. And that's like the most radical thing that you can do.
It's true. We gotta get out of the loops, right? Everyone get out of your loop in however way you can. Like, if everyone is in a loop. We're in loop. Like everyone, it's the possibility of what could happen here. We haven't even touched on it yet. We're still like squabbling over nonsense, you know.
I agree.
So, thank you, Aurora. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you very much. Good talking with you, man.
Yes. So, we'll do it again, of course.
Please do. Please invite me. I know I'm in my own world making artwork most of the time. You have to like knock, be like a work. Come in here and talk to people.
Yeah. We'll do it again. Thank you, Aurora.
Thank you very much.
Have a good one.
I will. You too.
Bye.
Probably didn't tell you because I knew what you were saying. It's fine. It wasn't bad. I think I liked it. What did you guys do? So we started a dream, and then I don't really think that either of us are really that good. And I had to drive home. He had to drive home to her house. And I was making another drink. So we got dessert.
I had a moment in there where like, you recording? Or I just like complete blank, like my mind is like disappeared. And then I was like, I knew the thing wanted me to like worry about it, but I just was like, oh, I just had a blank, and then completely did not care and moved on.
Does that? We'll do that too.
Yeah.